Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by Z1 SimWheel. Head to z1simwheel.com where you can find the LCD display and the software for your computer to add all of these dashboards and extra telemetry to your sim rig. You can find that and an excellent selection of really cool wheels at z1simwheel.com. This here is Season 9, Race 7 of the GTC. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and here with me are Brian Carey.
Hello, everyone.
And Anthony Muniz.
Hello, guys.
Well, we've just come off a fairly a good race. I think we had lots of good action in Suzuka, and now into the points. We're seeing James Cullen with another win at Suzuka, still with his perfect record. Brian Carey in second, Anthony Muniz third. Then there's a big gap to fourth with Brent Brile 60 points down, but a good battle there, fourth through sixth. And then again, seventh through, even 10th, all within 7 points there. So some good battles in the lower ends of the standings. In the Radicals, those who are still showing up are still, Russell Cow taking it away, but the rest of them are still in a tight battle there for second. 33, 34, 36 points down. Lauren Bateman, John Kuzla, and Mike Kelly. So lots of excitement to be had there. And then in the Ford GT, Corey Davis with 104 points. But check that out. Second, third, fourth, Daniel Gralti, Eduardo Beninca, and Todd Carver all there, 2, 5, and 6 points down. And even Timothy Stoll just 11 points down from the lead. So that is really where all the action is. It's anyone's guess who's going to win that championship. Brian, good luck.
All right, so this is Zolder. There are certain numbers of corners. They are named. I don't know what they're named. I think there's a Klein chicane in there somewhere, the Jackie X Bach, the Jokenrent Bach, the Bogus something or other. Point is, it's going to be a very tight track. There's a lot of chicanes here, and in multi-class racing, those tight chicanes are only single line, especially the turn 7 complex there. It's going to be extremely difficult for these cars to get around, especially if they're trying to lap slower cars. So watch out for that. That being said, it's a very nice track that we have here on iRacing. Very fun to drive, and it looks fantastic, so I'm looking forward to the race.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The even though... let's go through the qualifying. James Cullen on pole for HPDs with a 118.2. Brian Carey just right back to on the second, next to him on the first row. Andy Fuller and Troy Hart on the second row. Anthony Muniz, Dimas Milana on the third. Daniel Quarney, John Kelly on the fourth, and I think I screwed this up, but Brian Huff and Brian Brellis on the fifth.
All right, pole position here for the Radicals is Russell Cow with a 125.6. Alongside him in the front row is Mike Kelly with a 126 flat. Then Lauren Bateman and Julio Palacio in the second row. John Kuzla and Mike Taylor on the third row, and Carl Mumbauer and, whoever you want really right there in the fourth row.
And for the Ford GTs, Daniel Verness took the pole with a 128.6. Todd Carver will start alongside him, just a 10th off of his time. Eduardo Beninca and Corey Davis will be on the second row. Daniel Gralti and Timothy Stoll will be on the third. Renee Weisflug and Kenny Coughlin will be on the fourth row, with Stephen Clark and Matthew Voigt rounding out the fifth and the top 10 in the Ford GTs.
So, yes, I was going to say that even though the HPDs have a lot more speed here, even through the chicanes, they really do need to throw the car through the chicane at full speed in order to get that run to get past the Ford GTs before the next chicane comes up. Because braking for that and entering side by side can be very tricky if you can't set it up right. So that's where I think we're going to see a huge amount of trouble. Also, quick program note, sometime later on, Dimas is going to be shown with a hugely damaged car for just a couple seconds. It's not real. His car will not be damaged at that time.
So
you're not surprised by it.
Dimas is fine. Wherever he is right now, he's okay, so don't worry. We're coming up to the last chicane here as we come up to the start-finish straight. I think the pace car will be coming in to top of the screen there. I think it has already, so should be going green flag any second. And there it is.
Well, James Cullen and Brian Carey getting a great start. The rest of the field, we'll call it mediocre, but they were all pretty much equivalent to each other. And people looking like they're starting to get into single file now.
This is one corner. This is turn 3 the guys are going through right now. Very, very difficult. There's not a lot of room on exit there, so you're going to watch for a lot of dust getting kicked up. As Mike Kelly's dropped back behind Carl Mumbauer, so he had a bit of a bad start there. I think there was some brouhaha back there at the beginning. I think some cars were involved. I don't have the list of the names right now, but just looking at our list here, looks like, unfortunately, looks like Corey Davis was one of those as he's dropped down to the back of the 4GT list.
Yeah, I think one thing I need to learn to tell the director is that if there's a huge amount of trouble right on the start, focus on that even if it's not normally what you consider interesting.
He's a work in progress right now, and he's got better over the years, but there's always certain things, especially at a track like this, where cars are going to be bunched up for a lot of it, as you have Jeremy Burris all over the back of Lance Snyder, who's locked up a little bit going into...
That's the chicane before the...
Oh, it was the hairpin, actually.
Yes, the hairpin.
It was turn 9.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I've got an idea to turn him into a real cyborg director, so stay tuned. I think things should improve a little bit when I've done that.
Either that or the end of humanity as we know it, but now we're back with Daniel Caroni chasing down John Kelly. It looks like he's got a huge run as John Kelly got really squirrely going through turn 1 there.
It's going to look to go around the outside, going through turn 2. Very difficult spot. John Kelly's going to have the advantage though, going into turn 3 and then turn 4. You can see also looks like Ryan Huff is also very close, making that a 3-way battle. So good battling there in the LMPs. Now we're on board with Daniel Verness in the 4GTs. He's currently running in... Ooh, he's going to make a move there on Tim McLeish.
So he must be one of those people who got caught up in the blue.
Yeah, there was a whole kind of big pile up there going into the last chicane, and it's just where the 4GTs took the green flag. And unfortunately, there was a few cars there involved in a pretty big incident. It looks like Qualrini lost out on a position there, and Ryan Huff was able to get by, and that moves him up into 8th place.
Yeah, this track is pretty manic at the best of times. I mean, just a lot of things happening, not a lot of places to rest. Very, very few straightaways to speak of. Even the straightaways have curves in them for the most part. So, and you see a little bit of a straight here, but I mean, you're right on top of another chicane, so you can see some of those HPDs. That was a great camera shot watching the HPDs file into the last chicane here.
Yes, it's going to be a very, very difficult place to pass. You almost have to hope that the guy in front of you makes a bit of a mistake and allows you to exploit the gap. Jeremy Burry is going to try and move on the inside of Jules Moret going into turn 1. Looks like he'll get the move easily done as long as he holds onto it. He does, so that moves him up into 12th position. So Jeremy Burry is a little bit further down the field than we're used to seeing. Here's a fight at the front of the field. Looks like Andy Fuller gets the move on Brian Carey going into the first chicane. He's able to hold onto it, and that moves him up into 2nd place. So Fuller moving up the field. Brian Carey drops 1 position from his starting spot, but looks like he's very, very quick. Thought he might try a diving move on the inside there, but the second chicane is even tighter than the first one, so even harder to pass. And you really have to be all the way alongside and then kind of pinch them out onto the rumble strips there. Looks like cars are getting a little bit more spread out down the field. Looks like Quoni had a bit of an issue coming out of the second chicane, and he's going to lose a position to Brent Brile. So Quoni falling down into 10th so far early in the stages of the race. But like I said, it's a long race, and you just have to kind of hope that people make little mistakes and allow that for you to exploit them to move you up into a passing opportunity.
I'm noticing here there's a lot of fantastic camera shots here at this track. A lot of cameras behind fences, which is a little weird, but most of those, I think Dan's corrected a lot of those there, but I just noticed in the first corner here there's a few shots of the cars going through the fence, which is actually get a good sense of the speed when you see that, but still kind of strange as we're on board with Anthony Muniz running down Dimas Milana. This is the toughest corner, I think, on the track here. This is turn number 3. You can see, like I mentioned, the dirt getting kicked up there, but that's a corner where the LMPs are going through there at like 1,000 miles an hour faster than these other class cars, and it's really difficult when to time some of those passes there.
Yeah, you can be close to a second back from a 4GT and then try and take that corner full speed, and you'll have to get on the brakes because you catch them up. Oh, and Qualrini looks like off again coming out of the first chicane, so he's going to drop another position, and that moves him down into 12th place. Burris slowly moving up the field, and unfortunately for our colleague Daniel, having a bit of trouble at the start of this tough race.
All right, now with Mike Taylor in the Radical, this is a good camera view right now of the track is like, seeing what Mike has to deal with in the Radical. He's chasing down Carl Mumbauer. down through the first chicane here. You can see those little white marks on the inside of the chicane. You really want to try to avoid those as much as possible because those are raised up quite high, and back when you ran the Daytona prototype, trying to stay away from those at all costs because it seemed to really damage that suspension. You have a little bit more leeway in these cars, but not a lot. Well, as you see, Jeremy go over that first one there. I think that'll probably be alright, but it does unsettle the car quite a lot, and it's not an ideal thing to be doing.
Yeah, I think he just hooked the wheel around that and used it to spin the car, actually, get through the turn faster. That was a Batman move right there.
He did seem to get through that corner quite well for running over those curves, so I think you're right.
Yeah. Just sometimes it'll turn you the proper way, but sometimes it'll turn you the other way, so you gotta be really careful when you're going around some of those corners.
Yeah, sometimes they'll act as a ramp, too.
And that was on board Julio Palacio as he was about to make a move on Warren Bateman. All four radicals here, starting from second. Right next to each other, John Kuslin and Mike Kelly. Kuslin getting the better of Kelly there.
Well, Kuslin and Kelly, they've been racing ISRA for probably 1,000 years, and they know each other pretty well, so expect some good racing from these two guys here.
Ooh, nice.
I was about to say, they're probably going to crash.
In certain terms to Kelly, this is my place, don't try that.
And Kelly going to try and move up. Nope, not quite close enough there. Yeah, that was a great move there by Kuslin to get on the inside and then kind of pinch Mike Kelly out there exiting turn one just to solidify his position, get him onto that curbing where you can't really get full down on the throttle, otherwise you'll spin the car. So that was a great move there, and then he was able to defend that position, but it looks like Mike Kelly's he's really all over the rear of John Kuslin trying to get that spot back. This is a pretty great four-way battle here in the Radicals.
I'll say one nice thing about the Radical at this track, it's a very narrow car, and so I think that they're benefiting from that with some really great racing. We're back up to the top of the LMPs, and we've got Dimas Milana making a move on Troy Harder. He's looking on the outside, and Troy Harder looks... Oh, but now he's on the inside for the chicane, and he takes the position from Harder. So Dimas up to fourth. And we've got someone off track. That looks like Brent Briles.
Yeah, Daniel Corona getting the position back that he had lost earlier for probably a similar sort of incident, I believe. It was almost, I think, actually in the same spot there. So, status clears. Oh, and that was someone.
That's Daniel Benenfield.
Yep. One of the 32 Daniels that are currently running in ISRA right now.
Ooh, and very close racing here in the Ford GTs. That's Todd Carver looking to get on the inside of Eduardo Benenka. Couldn't quite do it. I'm not sure exactly what turn that is. That might be, I think that's probably the start of the lap. Yeah.
There's a couple of those camera shots that are behind large objects.
And the top three in the class, that was them right there. You could throw a Blinko over the top of them. They're all very, very close within a second of each other. Oh, and Jeremy Burris looks like he has some sort of damage already, unfortunately, and he's going to have to pit early to, looks like...
Yeah, and Benenfield. They got together there in that chicane, which was when I got by them.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was a lot of damage on his car there, but it doesn't mean the suspension wasn't hurt as well.
Yeah.
So. Or it could be one of those things where maybe... the simulation decided to damage Dimas' car later in the race. Who knows?
Well, that's all just cosmetic, but it's going to surprise the heck out of you when you see it.
All right. I am actually looking forward to that. Not to see Dimas damage, but, you know, just to see what Daniel's talking about, because it sounds pretty intense. And at some point, too, we're going to have to get Andy to remember to upload his paint scheme to the ISRA servers, because that is not at all what I see in my racing screens.
And you can see the gap between the top, well, not the top two, but second and third place in the LMP. They're still pretty close, despite them working their way through traffic. Just about a second separating Andy Fuller and Brian Carey. And also a pretty close battle between 4th, 5th, and 6th here in the LMP.
That was Kenny Coughlin getting well wide into turn one there, allowing... Whoa, geez, that's... allowing that to happen. Wow.
That was close.
Well, if they traded paint there or not, but that was pretty intense. Okay, now we've got James Cullen here. You see
James Cullen just shooting by Todd Carver. Oh, no, and he gets
Eduardo Benenka. That is our race leader right now off the track. And then we have Dan Giralti on the outside of Todd Carver going into the chicane. He's going to have the inside. Oh, and there's Tim Stahl into the back of Todd Carver. I don't know if any contact was made there.
And there's some
Smells
heavy
pretty
damage on the
damaged.
front of Cullen's car. Looks like suspension and body work by the looks of it. Not sure how big the suspension is. Ooh, there's
Someone's
smoke up
off the
ahead.
track.
There's a big pile up there between LMPs and Ford GTs. That's Brian Carey
Brian
and
Carey,
Andy Fuller
Andy Fuller
involved.
gets off.
And unfortunately, we're not seeing what else happens if there's more cars collected. Looks like some people are getting through. Andy Fuller looks to be able to get through. He's going to lose a position there to Dimas Maulana. And looks like he got through unscathed. I thought he was going to be involved in the wreck, but I think he might have just slipped through.
Yeah, he went off track. It looked like he managed to dodge it. We've got a car off track there. That is Corey. Is that Corey Davis?
No, it was Renee.
That was Renee.
Yeah,
Okay.
Renee. Sporting the new Kaiser livery again. He's now joined our Anthony's team there, so good to have that. However, unfortunately, I think he was the one that
He was the finishing blow to your
sideways.
car, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so very unfortunately, that was a big pile up there involving quite a few leading cars in the LMP and the Ford GTs. All the radicals we can see right here, they're pretty much all still nose to tail. In fact, they are still nose to tail. The top 5 cars in the class are all in one shot right here. None of them involved in the incident, so their class totally unaffected, but very large swap up in the LMPs and the Ford GTs to an extent. Andy Fuller, no, he's not. Currently, the leader is Dimas Maulana. He's taken over the lead. Andy Fuller remains in second place, but the dominant car all this season, driven by James Cullen, he is in the pit lane. He hasn't retired his car, so he's getting that damage repaired, but this is a opportunity for some of the guys that are fairly close in points to possibly make up some of the difference that James has been able to build up over the season, because that's pretty tough to beat him in pace. He's very, very quick, so this is an opportunity for them. Unfortunately, Brian Carey, who was in second place, I think you've had to retire at this point, Brian, because I don't see you on our board.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much an immediate retirement there. I think Renee, when he came through there, he caught my rear suspension. But for those that just see what happened, just because I happened to have a good bird's eye view of that, what happened was after James and it looks like Eduardo had that incident there, it backed all 4 Ford GTs up through this corner here, through the turn 7 chicane. And what happened, there was 2 groups of side-by-side Ford GTs. So Ford GTs trying to go through the chicane here, and then coming out of the chicane as it was all tied up, we caught up a lot of time. Actually, I was going slow enough that at the time where the automatic clutch was starting to kick in, and then Eduardo Benica, unfortunately, with the damaged car from that incident, spun in front of everyone and was left with not a lot of places to go. And then I ended up across the track, trying to get out of everyone's way, but basically when I stopped, I was right in the middle of the track, and then chaos continued to ensue for a few seconds after that. So it was quite a mess, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that is one of the most narrow points on the circuit. As you can see, there's a great battle here in the radicals still. Looks like they were a little bit split up now, but still very close between Julio Palacio and Russell Cow for second place. But yeah, that is probably one of the most narrow points on the circuit, and I was a little bit behind Brian, and so I know that same for me as it was for him. You know, my anti-stall kicked in. I was almost at a dead stop there to avoid making contact with anybody, and that was, you know, probably one of the biggest incidents we've had in the GTC for a very, very long time. I think it's probably the biggest since I've been racing in it, and it is just one of those things. It was a lot of cars in a very, very narrow section of the circuit, and there's just not room for all of them, especially with the speed differential that you have between the LMPs and the Fords. The LMPs are, once you get through about this section right here, yeah, the LMPs are pretty much flat out. So it's just one of those things that happened. Unfortunately, it damaged a lot of leading cars in this race, though.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, there's been incidents where, you know, we've seen them before in previous seasons where people have made mistakes and got in the back of someone, or, you know, maybe just made an ill-advised pass. I don't think that was any one of those things. It was just a clumsy moment there. I think, is that Brent Browse or Jerry Morrisdorf?
I think that was Jerry Morrisdorf, but we'll see in just a moment.
Because this is a battle for the lead in Ford
Nope,
GT
that was
right
Brent
now.
Bryles. He's dropping down.
We're going a bit of contact there, I think, too,
Same
as they
corner we
were
had
in
problems
braking.
before.
Yeah. So that's going to cost Timothy Stoll the lead in the GT class. He's fallen down quite a bit. Todd Carver now we're seeing make up the gap that had opened up, and so he's right on the rear of Stoll now. Looks like he's going to make a dive up the inside through the hairpin, and he's going to make a pass too. So I'm wondering if Stoll has a bit of damage from that contact.
There's a lot of action there. I was just about to say that corner is just one of those things where it all started with looked like leg contact between Eduardo and James. It didn't look like there was any actual contact, but it looks like Eduardo spun James around, and that started the whole chain reaction where this corner coming up to here, the chicane, where it's a right, left, and sweeping right, as you can follow along with Russell Cow in the battle for the radicals here. But just because it's so one line and it slows everyone down, the fact that everyone got bottlenecked up in that particular point just caused a whole lot of trouble, and I bet you we're going to see a lot more of that the rest of this race.
Ooh, and Mike Kelly getting into the side of Russell Cow as they were under braking. Cow going around through the hairpin way off the circuit.
Yeah, Russell pitched up pretty good there.
He did, yeah. Looks like he's going to make a late dive to protect the inside line there, but Mike Kelly was already alongside, and the resulting contact allowed him to get by, and Russell Cow loses a couple positions from that. He falls down into 5th place. And we've got a pretty close battle here between Ryan Huff, who we are riding on board the front nose of right now. He's fighting with John Kelly for the 5th place in class. So a few incidents have moved these guys way up the field now. You can see they're working their way through some traffic, radical traffic, and this is a, like I said, battle for 5th place, and they've got a bit of a gap between themselves and 4th place, about 4 seconds. So the field splitting up a little bit now. Radicals have certainly split up since we've last looked at that long battle, and we've got Ryan Huff has a great run on John Kelly, but he's going to be on the outside going into the chicane. That's very difficult to do. You can see, he has to concede his position, which is unfortunate. If he was on the other side, he probably would have had that position.
Yeah, I think this track would be absolutely fantastic without the chicanes. In real life, I mean, that just would not fly. I mean, that's got to arrest the speed somehow. This last corner here, I believe, coming up, there is the option to run it without the chicane here, which might be an option if we decide to run this in future seasons. Although, if I had a vote, that would not happen. But
if you cut those cones they had there on the safety cones they had on the right side that you would normally take, it becomes more of a fast left-right corner instead of that chicane.
Well, Tim has found his driving legs again, and his right back up to the tail of Todd Carver, so he's closed that gap up, and it looks like Todd's actually closing the gap up a little bit to Dan Gralty, so that battle for the lead should resume shortly as we're back to Ryan Huff and John Kelly battling for 5th position in the HPD.
And Ryan Huff seems to have seems to be in a great rhythm right now. He's hitting his apexes. He's gaining a lot of time on Kelly at the moment. You can see Kelly's kind of all over the track. He's hitting some of the curbs a little bit offline. And Ryan Huff seems to have a very smooth style right now. He's going to make a look on the inside. Ooh, and Kelly's going to secede that position. And yep, Ryan Huff gets on the inside there through the chicane. Great passing maneuver. You can see he just got the nose on the inside, and that was enough for Kelly to just give up the position. There's still quite a bit of time left, and it looked like that Huff was quite a bit faster, so he just gave that position up. And we're going to look at Brent Briles right now. He is still in the race, and I'm not sure, he must have been passing someone in the pit lane, because I don't see any other LMP cars around him at the moment.
Yeah, that's, let's see, Jerry Morrisdorf in the pits? Let's see, we've got Daniel Benefield on camera now, and he is trying to catch up with Brent Briles, I believe. No, he has gotten past Brent Briles in the pits. That's what's happened.
That must have been Jerry Morrisdorf
on track.
Yeah, my mistake. Like I said, we've said a couple times their cars are quite similar, so I just miscalled that there. I do apologize.
You have to get a really good camera view where you catch the number plate there, and you can kind of catch the 42 on Jerry's car. But he seems to be... See, through that chicane there, the 4GTs aren't all that much slower than the LMP in that particular corner there. It's the acceleration running through the final part of it where the LMP really makes up its speed.
Ooh, and almost going 3 wide there. looks like Russell Cow had a great run on John Kuzin going through turn 4, but John Kelly also had a great run on both the cars because of the superior speed that the LMP has over all the classes through that corner. That luckily didn't decide to take that 3 wide, didn't quite have the run, and all those guys continue on.
And Anthony Muniz all over the back of Andy Fuller right now. I don't know if I think Andy probably took a little bit of damage in that incident there. It doesn't look like a lot, but Anthony Muniz is right up his tail. It's actually looks like he might have had an incident because Andy was about 4 seconds behind Dimas. He's now 9 seconds behind him, so Anthony trying to take advantage of whatever happened with Andy there.
And meanwhile, in the Ford GTs, Daniel Gralti has managed to pull over 4 seconds of a gap over Todd Carver. Might have been just able to catch him there up in the distance. And right now it's a battle for second place in the Ford GTs between Carver and Stoll. So Daniel Gralti getting his head down and running some consistent laps to help open up a little bit of a safety gap. You can see the battle for first in the Radical Zone not nearly as secure for Lauren Bateman. He's only got about half a second separating himself and Julio Palacio, who is that blue Radical. Right there, you can see both of them in the shot, and there's a lot of traffic around. This could be dangerous for some of these guys that need to keep their eyes open and make sure that they keep checking their mirrors so that way you don't collect anyone else.
Yeah, that's one of the things with this track being so busy. I mean, you got to be able to check your mirrors, but you got to definitely be looking forward because there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of elevation changes in some blind corners, and this chicane in particular here. I mean, you can kind of see it from this camera view, which is a lot lower than what the driver sees, but still really, really hard to spot the apex properly in some of these corners. I'm actually just thinking the Ford GTs had quite a bit of top speed on the Radicals, but now that iRacing has changed the physics on that Ford GT a little bit, their top speed is down quite a bit, so it should make Radicals a little easier to get by.
Yes, the Ford with the new physics update for the Ford GT, it is a much better credit drive, much more comparable to the McLaren now. I've only done some limited running on it just to test out the updates they've had, but it's a much better car. So I think we should be seeing some even better racing in the Ford GT. It allows the guys to run much closer than they already do.
Well, looks like Muniz is able to hold on to Andy after that whatever incident that he had before. So I mean, there's still 52 minutes left in this race, so there's still quite a way left. Looks like we've packed in an hour and a half worth of action up to this point. So I mean, we still got 52 minutes left, and we still have quite a few runners left after all those incidents. So that is good to see. It looks like all the Radicals actually are, even Carl Mumbauer is in 7th position, really 23 behind. Oh, that's Todd Carver. It looks like the last chicane there getting wide, so that's going to be Tim Stahl going around for 2nd position. Let's see how that started, but it looks like he locked up or something.
Yeah, overshot the first part of the last chicane there, but it looks like he had built a bit of a gap over the now second place car of Stoll because he hasn't fallen too far back because of that incident, and he did have to slow quite a bit down to get through that sand trap and all that without spinning his car. So I'm assuming that Todd Carver's will have a good pace to probably catch back up and battle for that second place again. He's had great pace all season so far.
Yeah, like I say, I'm really loving some of these camera shots. That one in particular, coming off of turn 3 there, watching them barrel down to that first chicane. That's pretty cool, especially when someone's kicked up some dust on the exit of turn 3 there. It really makes it a neat effect. Makes you forget that you're watching simulated racing right now. This is pretty intense. We're following look at the back end of Mike Kelly's number 2 Radical in 3rd place currently. You can see the top 4 Radicals all in shot, riding on board the 4th place and seeing the top 3 in front of them.
Yep, unfortunately we have lost John Kuzin from the battle, so it's no longer a 5-way fight in the Radicals, but it's still the top 4 are all within a couple seconds of each other. So that
within
is
sight, that's for sure. Only 4 seconds back.
4 seconds back from Russell Cow right now, so he's definitely not out of this race yet, not even close. So a lot of racing left to do. You can see him right there, actually. So he's really not all that far back, and see, one little mistake like that, and that could cause you to get a nice spot of oversteer, and big mistake like that, and you could be right up. Ooh, wow. And Russell Cow making a bunch of time up there on Mike Kelly under braking into the last chicane.
Well, is Julio going for the lead? Let's see if he has enough. I don't think he's going to try it here. I think he's going to... Whoa! Or maybe he'll just... Cool. That was awesome. I'm sorry, but that was like right underneath the bumper. No contact made. You can see the rear suspension on that shot. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think you could get any closer to the car in front of you than Julio just did in that shot.
And that's it. The only way we get closer is if you're a proctologist, because that was damn close. We just call Julio Dr. Palacio for the rest of the race.
And now Mike Kelly actually coming up to battle with the doctor. He's got a great run heading down towards the second chicane. Let's see if he can get on along the inside. It doesn't look like he's going to be quite close enough, but he's got a great run after Dr. Palacio got so close there to Lauren Bateman there in turn 1.
I believe his customized license plate does say the Ass Man. Those Seinfeld fans out there. And Julio, I apologize if that's what your nickname ended up being for this race, but that's, I guess, sometimes what happens. There's just a lot of, I mean, that radical battle is really awesome right now. I mean, John Kuzlin like 4 seconds behind the top 4, but oh, look at that!
Wow,
that was I think it was John Kelly. It looked like. And,
it was, yeah. That was a pass of 2 cars going through turn 2.
Well, it looked like Todd was able to take advantage, except he got. Took his eye off the ball there for a second, ran wide. Now you've got another LMP going through. I think that's could be Daniel, perhaps.
Yep, it is. Yep, see the Italian flag there on the front left.
So that's a tough thing. It's one of those things. The LMP does not have great acceleration of the slow corners. It's really, but it's a momentum car. Very little low end torque. So when it's going out of some of those chicanes there, and it is a little faster coming to the chicanes, but not all that much faster. If you can't carry the speed through the corner, it's really hard to power out faster than that Ford GT in particular. You can see cars kind of hover over the crust there. It looks like that's a problem that... Actually, I didn't know if I think iRacing may have corrected that in the last build.
I think it's much better than the last time we were racing at Zolder, because I think they hovered over the entire circuit. Now it seems to be just that crest, so I think they have made improvements. I just need to lock down the mesh a little bit further over that crest.
No, there's still places in the track where I can tell they're hovering. It's just it happens these cars are a little lower to the ground than our Daytona prototypes that we ran in the Cadillacs. You can really see those front wheels, and you can really tell when they're above the ground. Look, these things have pretty good front splitters, and it's not as noticeable, but I think that's one of the things they said that they were fixing is the old floating skid marks, as they were called, especially when you burn some rubber over one of those meshes there, and basically what would happen is the tire mark would be above where you'd graphically see the track, which looked a little weird, but hopefully that'll be corrected. And actually, looking at this camera angle there, the track itself looks absolutely fantastic here.
And look how close these 3 cars are right now. It's Julio Palacio just barely holding on to second place. And it looks like Russell Cow has a great run on Mike Kelly. Ooh, he's almost getting as close as Palacio did a bit earlier. Losing a bit of momentum there as he kicks up a bit of dirt going through turn 4. You can see he's fallen back just a bit, but there's a Ford GT of Renee Weissflog up in front. Ooh, and a bit of contact there between Palacio and Weissflog. And Russell Cow taking advantage of that. He's going to get Mike Kelly going down to the second chicane to see if he can get Julio Palacio. Ooh, in contact between the 2 cars, and both go off.
That brings John Kelly back into the fight.
And John Kelly getting by Palacio.
John Kuzlin.
Yes, that's right. He gets by Palacio and Russell Cow, who was quite slow there. I'm not sure if he had broken suspension or if he was just waiting to get back on circuit. But Kuzin definitely the big beneficiary there. He moves up 2 positions.
I think you may have noticed if you're driving at ISRA, good chances that your first name is either Daniel or John, and good chance that your last name is Kelly. So just some statistical analysis there, but the fact that we're now watching Daniel Benefield is just
cool. That was close.
Yeah, jeez. This whole race is close.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, but Benenfield cutting over there to try and get along the inside, cut across the front of, I believe that was Matthew Voigt. And the 4GT, that was millimeters away from... millimeters away from making contact, and Russell Kawa is millimeters away from spinning that car. It looks like he's fallen down to 5th place, and he's about 2 seconds back from Julio Palacio in 4th place. So, unfortunately, that great radical battle that we were watching is falling apart now. It looks like as Matthew Voigt has an issue going through the final chicane.
We just had to take a little pee break there over by the trees, and he's back on track. Yeah, and unheard of, it's Troy Harder. Of all these battles that are going on, he's up into 3rd place right now in the HPD, so that's pretty impressive as well. Actually, it's because Andy Fuller is now in the pits, so as we are on board with him, the undescript nose cone camera of Andy Fuller. Probably figuring to get a pit stop in there early to fix any damage that he might have. He'll be able to get to the end of the race on fuel, so that's going to be hopefully for him a smart tactical move.
And it's the gap between John Kelly and our own Daniel Corvoni has closed up quite a bit. This is a battle for 5th place in the LMP class, and because so far the only person that has made a pit stop is Andy Fuller. Oh, well, actually, they have passed him. Ooh, and Corvoni having a bit of oversteer going through the 2nd chicane, so he's going to drop a little bit of time to John Kelly, but good save there.
Actually, the irony of Daniel's earlier incidents in the first part of the race there probably saved him quite a bit from being involved in some of those accidents, and he's got himself well positioned for the end of this race here. Whoa, Todd Carver coming from 3 car lengths back at least to go on the inside of Tim Stahl there, and Tim Stahl getting the place back as Todd Carver came in really hot. Heads up driving from Tim Stahl to see that right away, because I think either he got on the brakes a little earlier or Todd just got on them way late. As you can see from Russell Cow, it's the same corner we were at before right now, heading into that first chicane there. If you're on the inside especially, sometimes it's really easy to... Ouch! Well, that did probably not feel good on the inside there. But yeah, it's really a tough braking spot to spot there from coming from the inside.
And meanwhile, for the 4GTs, Daniel Gralte's pulled 11 seconds over these 2 cars, so he's just up in front by himself, turning laps, and just waiting for this one to be over right now. He's comfortably ahead, and really he just needs to stay consistent and survive, and he's got a win in the 4GTs, and I believe that'd be his first this season if he can pull it off. He was close at our first race at Spa-Francorchamps, but just was short on fuel. He had a great fuel strategy going, but couldn't quite pull it off, and so I think he finished like 5th or something like that because he had to pit for a splash. But he's doing very well right now, and Todd Carver, he's right on the back end of Timothy Stahl. He's looking to see if he can't find a way around for that 2nd place in the class.
So I said it before, this is a tough one to take your eyes off of right now because there's just so much happening and the battles for the lead. This is a battle for 2nd place right now, but I mean it's still pretty intense as looks like Gilles Moret coming through there. See a brief floating of the rear wheel going around that corner, but not too much. All 3 different classes of cars on the same piece of track right now. I think that's Lauren Bateman actually, their race leader, the Radicals. Lots of cars coming out of the pit stop. There's Daniel Verness, Jerry Morsdorf, and who is 38? Someone is 38.
Carl Mumbauer in the Radicals.
Yes, okay. Carl Mumbauer, unfortunately, 5 laps down. I mentioned everyone was on the same lap. He must have an incident he's just coming out of right now. Not sure if he's going to be able to make that up here, but I guess if someone else drops out, he could still make up the place. A very, very brave helicopter pilot here with all these trees. Like right now, looks like he's flying pretty low. But actually, there's one thing there's one thing we're able to do in sim racing. A helicopter would not be able to get this shot in real life racing. It's not that maneuverable. That being said, my colleague Ryan Corns posted on Facebook a video from the Monte Carlo rally that Volkswagen had a pretty neat little camera drone, like one of those, like, you know, those remote control helicopters that you see in the stores. Are a much more advanced one, but got some absolutely amazing shots in the Monte Carlo rally that if you go to the the Red Bull Volkswagen World Rally Championship website, I recommend doing that because you get some fantastic shots from it.
And here's a pretty good onboard shot here with our colleague Dan as he tries to fight his way past John Kelly for 5th place in the LMP class. And he's caught back up after his mistake going through this chicane right here. And it looks like John Kelly having a bit of an issue. He takes a lot of the curb and the sleeping policeman, I think, as they're called. And he's able to hold on to that 5th position, but Qualroni now very, very close, and seeing if he can't exploit a little mistake there by John and fight his way through up into 5th.
Yeah, I assume Belgian policemen have a lot of beer on their shift, so that's why they're sleeping, and they just kind of puddle up on the inside of corners here.
Oh, and there's so you can see there's a few cars up there, that few Ford GTs, so traffic cars that they'll be working their way through. So it might be an advantage for Dan to use one of the cars as a pick and see if he can't use one of those to help him get by John Kelly. Good onboard shot as they head into turn 1.
Or he could use what is known as the Dr. Palacio pass and just try to drive underneath the car ahead of him. Really cool effect to see the shadows going through as he flies through the corner here. Yeah, most of the iRacing tracks here are kind of done in middle of the afternoon type, or middle of the day. Oh, look, Cronin's on the inside. He's gonna hold it. It's gonna be a tough one to hold. He's got it.
Yeah, that was very well done. You could see that we jumped on board real quick as he was heading through turn 4. Held back a bit more than John Kelly did going through turn 4 because of the Ford GT. Got a great run on Kelly as they headed down towards the Kleine chicane, which is, I believe, turn 5 on the circuit. And just had enough momentum to get on the inside there and use the outbraking of his car. Got the pass done, so that was a very well executed, very well thought out pass there by our colleague Dan. And I'm not just saying that because he's in our virtual commentary booth with us.
And also because he controls all the computers in the world right now. Well, he doesn't. Our director does, but that's another matter. I was looking at trying to see if I can pronounce the name of what turn 7 is, which is that right chicane that's been giving everyone so much trouble, the second chicane. And I'm going to probably need a few more minutes to see if I can nail that one down. I'm just going to kind of try off microphone here to see if I can say it, and then I'll get back to you.
I believe it's Terlamenbacht.
See, he just does it one time, and he's got it. Terlamenbach. And the next one is the one that's really difficult.
Oh, yes. Well, here, I'll try and do that one on Mike. Boulderbergosspielbocht. I don't know how right that is, but...
At least Anthony has kind of it has a German heritage, so the ox and the various other...
Yeah, a little bit easier. Although I think this is a mix of Dutch as well, because I believe Belgium has their official languages are French, German, and Dutch, I believe. So there's a few that I'm not used to seeing. Like turn 10 is quite odd.
Yeah, basically Belgium, for those of you who have never looked at a map before, is basically right in the corner of the Netherlands, France, and Germany. So that is nestled in there. There, John Kuzlin passing Mike Kelly, who's making a pit stop right now. So Mike Kelly coming out. John Kuzlin is about 12 seconds behind his teammate Lauren Bateman. Coast-to-coast racing entries.
And now with just over... close call there for John Kelly going through turn 1, catching a lot of curbing. Luckily, he was able to hold on to it. But now that we're down to 36 minutes left, just about halfway, things are kind of settling down now. We've had a few retirements, unfortunately, but cars are a bit more spread out, and people are just kind of more concentrating on getting into a rhythm and setting the consistent times, but there are still some fairly close battles. It's still close between Todd Carver and Timothy Stoll for second place. Julio Palacio and John Kuzland, who we can see just in front of Todd Carver right here, are quite close. And LMPs are a bit more split up, but we saw John Kelly still trying to catch back up to Daniel Quaroni for currently fourth place in class. Of course, they're a bit elevated, I think, because they haven't made their pit stops yet, but expect to see that soon with 35 minutes left on the clock.
Yep, 37.5 was our halfway point, so we're in the definitely well into the second half of this race here. As Todd Carver, as you can see, the pit entry there is you can really fly into there. For those remember the old pit entrance at the Imola circuit when Formula 1 used to run there. I don't know if it's the same now, but it's very, very similar, and especially if you're following in behind someone, it's really difficult because a lot of the times you'll base your braking into that last chicane on where the guy ahead of you brakes, and if he doesn't brake going into the last chicane, then good chance you're going to overshoot the corner just by habit of following him in there. And you definitely, I mean, I've seen enough F1 races there a lot. You see it all the time when guys are making pit entries. The guy immediately behind him would always mess up the corner if he wasn't anticipating on making a pit stop. So, oh, that's Kenny Coughlin. There's a little bit of an incident there. Back on track. Passing Dan Gralti, who's in the pit lane. So Dan Gralti and Todd Carver in the pits. Alright, so just while we're kind of, as pit stops are shaking out here, I'll let my colleagues take over for just a couple of minutes. I just have to, I know it's weird that I'm leaving my 4-year-old in our commentary booth here, but I just have to go check on him to make sure he's alright. I will be back shortly.
Well, since we're following my car right now, I won't commentate on that, and I'll run down the standings. Actually, I guess I have to commentate on myself because I've just taken the lead of the race. Dimas Maulana has entered the pit lane. So, in second place is Troy Harder. I can see Julio Palacio pull into the pit lane. Troy Harder, Dimas still being scored in third place, but Daniel Quaroni will soon overtake him, depending on when he pits. John Kelly also just behind Andy Fuller, currently running in sixth place. Of course, he made the early pit stop with about 44 minutes left on the clock, I believe. Ooh, and that's Tim Stoll right there having a big spout of oversteer going through turn one. Holds on to it very nicely. And he is a bit out of sequence now. He's first place in the 4GT class, but he has yet to make a pit stop. The two other cars that he was fighting with, Dan Gralti and Todd Carver, have already made their pit stops, and they are being scored in third and fourth, respectively, at the moment. We were watching John Kelly as he's making his way through traffic. Now back to Timothy Stoll, who is leading the 4GTs right now.
Then in the battles, we've got Warren Bateman leading with John Kuzlin second, Mike Taylor third, Julio Palacio fourth, Russell Cow fifth, Mike Kelly sixth, Carl Moonbauer seventh. Over in 4GTs, Timothy Stoll, Kenny Coughlin, Daniel Gralti, Todd Carver, Eduardo Beninca fifth, Stephen Clark sixth, Renee Weisflog, Matthew Voigt, Daniel Merness, and Tim McLeish rounds out the top 10.
Alright, well, it looks like everything was already here. Any incidents happen while I was gone? Anyone explode? Did I miss Steve Moss exploding?
Nope, not yet.
Another spout of oversteer there for Tim Stoll. Looks like I'm not sure if he might have his. Of course, this race was done before the new tire updates that iRacing did, so I'm not sure if maybe he's got his tires overheated right now and doesn't quite have the grip that he's used to, because he's had a few oversteer incidents through the last lap, so he'd probably be looking to pit soon and get some fresh tires on his 4GT.
I was just noticing too that Tim Stoll probably has the creepiest axe scent on his Dark Temptation there. Not sure why that's as creepy as the other ones, but
I was wondering the same thing. And riding on the back, Kenny Coughlin's 4GT, you can see Daniel Gralti running in third place, just in the distance there as they head through turn 4. Of course, Kenny Coughlin still needs to make a pit stop, so Gralti will be elevated up into second place here in a few laps, I would imagine.
Yeah, that 2-second difference between them is going to turn into something on the order of 30 seconds with Daniel Gralti leading once he's made that pit stop.
And right now, we oddly enough, I guess it's because we are in the pit stop phase of the race, but right now we have really no one that is actually battling for positions. We have Kenny Coughlin here, who is fighting with Daniel Gralti. This is for second place, but like we said, this isn't a true position. Looks like Coughlin's going to let Gralti by, and yet you can see him diving into the pit lane there. So real
looks like
heel
is right behind him there too.
I believe, yep, that is my car.
Out of the lead of the race. He was in a battle with Demas, so let's see how that shakes out. And then Andy Fuller as well, too, so we'll see how those guys come out of the pits when they both pitted.
Yeah, Demas had, I think, close to 10 seconds over Andy Fuller, who we're watching right now, when he made his pit stop, and then Fuller had maybe 3 seconds at the most over myself after pit stop, so we'll see how all of that shakes out.
I mean, well, Andy's ahead of Demas right now, so by 10 seconds, and looks like Andy's got ahead of Muniz. Perhaps the timing of scoring here gets a little weird coming out of the pits just because the pit exit comes out so close to the other side of the track that iRacing gets confused. So we really got to wait. Oh, there's Muniz up ahead of Demas. So Muniz takes second position effectively on the track. I mean, Troy Heider is still out there on the track, so is Daniel Croney and John Kelly, but this is effectively the battle for second right now. And Muniz is going to have fresher tires the rest of the run here, so we'll see how this one works out. That was quite a advantage gained in the pit stop there, I think. Oh, that's Eduardo. Looks like he's gone off again. Wow, that was close.
Yeah, it looks like he had some fairly significant damage on the rear of his car. I can see the wing was bent in a downward position. Not sure if he's suffering from any sort of suspension damage. But Daniel Corwani now taking the lead of the race, so he'll rack up a bonus point for leading a lap, I believe, as long as he continues one more time, or he's in front enough so he crosses the start-finish line in the pit lane.
There's Andy Fuller just kind of blasting away laps right now. I'm really confused by the color. Well, I mean, the color is relatively similar to what he runs, but does have much more detailed sponsorship on that, so hopefully we'll get that for you guys our next race at Watkins Glen. And actually, look at the top of that car there. Demas's car really does blend into the track from above, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I have to talk to him about getting some color put on that thing.
I think he has Virgin Mobile sponsorship on the side of that car, but yeah, and maybe
a little more color put on that thing.
Yeah, I think there's something on the winglets too. Let's see if we can get a shot here.
Yeah, see, like from this angle here, I mean, it's not that bad. And actually, I think of from racing them or whatnot, it's not that striking. But just from the top-down shot there. Just for anyone out there watching this, it's very cool. It's got kind of metallic sort of graded look on it.
Carbon fiber action,
yeah.
Yeah, but I think we could maybe get Demas there. He's running very well in the ISRA. If any virtual sponsors out there want to help him out by throwing something on his car there. He's trying to kind of shift back and forth through this dimension. Hopefully he'll remain with us for the for the race here. It looks like the gap is stabilized a little bit because for the initial pit stop there, Milana has car up the temperature there, was able to attack pretty well, but now that kind of Muniz has got used to the new tires and the fuel and whatnot, and he's hitting his marks, so it looks like the gap is stabilized back down to a reasonable amount. I mean, it's really, really hard without GT traffic to, excuse me, it's hard without the GT traffic to really make a run on someone by yourself at this track, so Milana is really going to have to wait for his opportunity to try to make a run, but it looks like the gap has stabilized at about a second.
And it looks like, no, Andy Fuller making the pass on John Kelly, who is now taking his pit stop, but Daniel Qualroni still at the lead of the race, so he will most definitely collect a bonus point there, which is pretty good because he's in a fairly close points battle. I think for, what was it, 4th place in the LMP class?
Yep. Actually, I was kind of amazed. I got just over an hour out of the tank on this track.
Oh boy, and that's Julio Palacio spinning his car, running over the large curbing there, going through the first chicane, so he's going to lose some position time there. Currently running in 3rd, and he's got a large gap between himself and John Kuzlin. Looks like Mike Taylor, Russell Cow, Mike Kelly have all had some sort of problem because they are laps down at this point.
John Kelly out of the pits. He's come in, let's see where he ends up. And Dan Corney's in the pits, so the lead, I think, is the, all 3 of us have led a lap this year at least, and Andy Fuller is now back around him again, so that should be the lead for Andy Fuller now. A lead which he had earlier held briefly for about 3 corners after James Cullen had gone off. Anthony Muniz is about 9 seconds behind Andy, with Demas about 1 second behind him, so we'll see how Dan comes out in relation to Troy Harder, who's next down the list right now.
He's using all the track there and kicking up quite a dust cloud.
I can only do that, regularly on purpose every time, just kind of distract my rivals behind me and just keep throwing dust up in their face. Only problem is if you just go a little bit further than that, then you might pitch the car into a spin and turf it into the inside wall pretty good, so...
Yeah, it's a little bit of a risky strategy there. Oh, and Jules Moret allowing Lance Snyder to go through. And that was for position as well, unless one of these guys have to make a pit stop yet.
Yeah, no, Joe was just coming to the pits there, so I guess he was probably just running out of gas at that point. There's Demas there working his way through traffic. You can see it looks like Anthony Muniz is going past second place Dan Grolty up ahead.
And Gralty should still inherit the GT class lead. Timothy Stoll, who is leading currently, has still yet to make a pit stop. So he's taking the his fuel, I think as long as the longest in the 4GT class. I'm pretty sure that everyone else that is still running has made a pit stop so far.
And the battle between Muniz and Milana continues here. Very close, just really one mistake away from the pass, so Muniz having to hit his marks properly and keep it on track and not spin it. The chicanes, as we saw when Julio went off there, the problem is as you pitch it into the chicane, if you get it wrong, it's very easy to spin the car all the way around. That costs an enormous amount of time.
Yeah, that's one thing you notice. You have your timing deltas on your dashboard there to see how fast you are off your fastest lap. And one of the things I noticed too is just a little mistake through one of the chicanes, not hitting it just right, and a lift of even like a couple tenths of a second lift will cost you a lot more than that in time running down to the next chicane. As that looks like, is that Eduardo? Yeah, Eduardo's driving does not appear to be a very well handling car right now. And I'm board with Demas right now, and you get a better shot at the carbon fiber there on his car as he's going through some of these cars here, and that's looks like that's Rene Weissblog there going. Yep, he's actually running up in 6th position right now in the 4GT, so a lot of attrition there in the 4GTs, but still not a bad showing for Rene in his first race as Eduardo decides, whoa, that's maybe Eduardo might want to he's still in 4th place right now, so I mean I guess he should try to keep running, but it's the 3rd spin in our camera shot that we've had so far, so well,
that one looked like he went just a little bit off in the dirt and braked in the dirt. I don't think that was something locking up and wrong with this car necessarily.
I'm sure it didn't help, that's for sure.
Oh, and Timothy Stoll finally deciding to make his pit stop with just about 19 minutes left in the race. So Galti will
there goes Galti
pass right there. Yep, there he is. And Todd Carver, I'm assuming yep, there he goes right there through turn 1. So he'll actually make a pass on Stoll in the pits because Carver pitted with Galti the same lap, but he pitted from 3rd place.
Sweet.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's the damage
fantastic.
That's not real.
I didn't know you could have that damage in iRacing.
It looks like he's driving one of those track day cars. What's it called?
That's a really awesome shot of what the engine and everything looks like in that car. So savor this one, folks, because this is something we don't normally get to see. See all the suspension mountings in the front, all the engine. The engine in the back is fantastic, but you can see like the rocker arms and the coil springs up there in the front and in the back. How the rear suspension bolts onto the engine and whatnot. So.
Oh, it looks like it popped back on.
Wow, that was really neat. Not sure what happened there, but
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this car without the engine cover on. I've seen it without the front nose and without the wing, but I don't think I've ever seen it lose its engine cover. So that was pretty cool to get to see all of the engine bits that they've modeled there in the rear of the car.
I didn't even know they modeled all those things graphically, because I've never even seen in a crash those. It pulled off to that extent. Like, I mean, you see the front come off, but I don't think I've ever seen the like the suspension underneath it. Unless you guys have, I don't know, but I've never seen that. And sure as hell haven't seen the engine and everything that was underneath back there.
Now, I can't recall ever seeing it. Maybe if I got into an enormous wreck, like in practice once or twice, maybe I've seen it then, but.
I don't ever bother looking at the replay then, so I don't really ever get to see it.
Exactly.
Oh, I always look at the replay when I crash my car like that. Just doing some unofficial testing yesterday for our next race in Watkins Glen, and one of those tracks, the first corner there, you come up on the curb, and if you get it wrong, you're going a pretty high rate of speed, and very easy to pitch the car into the inside there. You can have some pretty massive accidents by doing that, and tore the front corner off the car pretty good, but it just looked really mangled and never actually get all that many pieces coming off. Well, no real pieces coming off in iRacing.
Yeah, earlier today I embedded myself in the fence, and I think I probably could have just held down the gas and let the fence drive me, do the turning for me. Because the car was like half into the fence. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, it does happen quite a bit, actually. Very good simulation, but there are some limitations.
Well, I think they just never bothered to get that completely right. I've been working on a game of my own, and I think I've got it right now, but I spent about 2 months working on the collision detection and collision reaction, and I can tell you it's really, really difficult to get that stuff right, because the problem is you can't detect collision in the computer, like in a game, until something has not run into something, but something's actually like inside the other thing. So then you need to figure out, all right, well, which way do I back it out to have it not inside the other thing anymore? You know, like it's the time in between frames. It's tough.
Yeah, that's why you sometimes will see in iRacing where a car will, I'm assuming this is why you see it, where a car will warp into a barrier and then or a tire wall or whatever it might be, and then kind of pop back out real quick. I'm assuming that's why we see that happen.
Actually, I was reading something too. I'm not sure where I saw it, but I think that iRacing has a new member on the staff there that is working specifically on collisions and damage and whatnot. So that, say, like, you know, a piece of wing comes off or whatever, it fall on the track and it has, you know, might interact with your car, much like it would in real life. Debris on the track is a big part of real life racing for tire punctures and whatnot. So, and other damage too. But I think that's being worked on actually actively by iRacing right now.
Yeah, when we get that, I think that'll add a very, very important factor of graphical realism.
Also, I think that plays a part into things like that you would find on circuit like traffic cones, where you might be able to your car will drive right through them and nothing will happen. Those will become objects that your car can interact with, so that'd be the same sort of thing there.
I'm wondering what's going to happen there, though, because I predict cones are going to go flying an awful lot.
Yeah, I think of the final corner of Silverstone where they have those markers, or there's a couple corners in the last sector of Silverstone where they have those markers where, you know, you're not supposed to cross this area, but people will frequently drive right through the markers because, you know, your car doesn't collide with them. So that'll be interesting to see how those will interact with cars.
Yeah, it's features that you find in a lot of console racing games too, just because, I mean, they don't have to worry about... iRacing has a pretty high standard of how the physical interaction works, but like, say, like Gran Turismo or something like that, you can barrel through cones and corner markers and that sort of thing. Oh, Demas is right on the tail of traffic, has closed this right up, so let's see if he's able to make a run. Demas goes to the inside a little bit to defend, and looks like he's going to be able to hold through. But coming up to this next corner here, it's going to be really tough for... Demas has gone to the inside here, but he's going to be on the outside for the next corner. This is some good stuff right here. There he goes. Demas takes a line through there. Demas really has nowhere to go. That's one car through there at a time, and Demas has to back off a little bit. There's no more GT traffic, so Demas survives that one for now.
Yeah, Anthony getting very lucky on that initial problem with traffic that Demas got stuck Matthew Voigt just like Anthony did just before, so there was no room on the track. Anthony smartly taking up the entire rest of the track where Matthew wasn't, not letting Demas have any opportunity to take advantage of that momentum he had.
A big gaggle of many different classes of cars going through here right now. There's Rene Weisblad going crazy sideways, and I think he clipped a little bit of Lance Snyder there, so that's Lance's probably first incident point in about 6 or 7 races. It's normally very, very... actually, this might have even been a 0x at that point. He's probably... the way Lance has been driving this year, he's been putting up the numbers. He's in 8th position right now. Certainly not battling for the top of the championship, but he's definitely one of the... better drivers of, well, actually this season, looking at statistics, he is probably he's clearly the cleanest driver right now and able to keep the car on the track for the entire length of the race without much in the way of contact or off-track excursions.
Yeah, he is gunning for that Z1 Simwheel LCD display, which is the prize for the Clean Driver Award, which is given out at the end of the season to the driver with the, well, it used to be just the least or most races with 0 incident points. We changed the scoring up a little bit to allow for situations where everyone gets some incident points during the race. Corners per, or incidents per corner, no, corners per incident, that was right the first time, is also part of that calculation, but I don't know all the details offhand on how they're factoring that.
At the end of the year, I think in each class, the driver at the lowest corners per incident, or the highest, the most corners per incident, so the least amount of incidents per corner, I guess, we'll get an additional 2 points. Then for each race in class, if you have 0 incidents or have the lowest amount of incidents in your class of the race, you'll get 1 point. So out of the 10 races we have this year, you have a potential to get 10 points for that, and then an additional 2 points at the end of the year for having the lowest corners per incident. So because some tracks, like say Spa, for instance, will have a very, very high threshold of what am I trying to say here? High threshold of 1Xs, so there's a lot of places in the track where you can pick up a 1X, which counts as an incident point. Just putting a wheel off the edge of the track, so that'll happen a lot more there. But then also, too, that will help eliminate some drivers who will drive one clean race and then drive one race that's not so clean. They might get a couple incidents or a couple races where they'll pick up the bonus point for the cleanest race, but they definitely won't win the bonus points at the end of the year, which could be deciding when you have only 10 races. Points are very hard to come by in that championship.
And we saw just a few shots ago Todd Carver going off at the first chicane, and he is actually quite close to Daniel Gralti. The gap was about a second separating them two. After that incident that he had in the first chicane, he's dropped to about 3 seconds back. You can see Gralti up there. So that's actually a battle for the lead in the GT class. So a little bit of a last-minute battling going on.
Yeah. Some units get balked pretty badly by the Jerry Morrisdorf in class, as well as he was trying to get around the leader in Ford GT, Daniel Gralti, which has allowed Demas to close right back up again. It's hard to tell the gap right now, but looks like Demas, he's pretty much right in the back of Muniz again. Coming on the back of Dr. Palacio there in the number 91 Radical, the blue and white one there. Looks like he's just got the default iRacing paint scheme on there right now, but I'd like to petition our iRacing members to someone maybe do Julio up the paint scheme where he's got the Assman license plate on the back of that car. That'd be a pretty not sure if Julio would go for that, but there you go. If one of our members out there wants to pull it off, that'd be great, as Milana is right on the back of Muniz there. They're going into turn 1 here.
Well, as I've heard, the Radical is one of the most difficult cars to paint, so I think you'll have to have a brave soul to take that one on. In fact, I think aside from Mike Kelly, is anyone in the Radical running a paint scheme?
I believe John Kuzland is, but other than that, I don't think anyone is.
It's kind of hard to tell because I know John runs the Coast to Coast. It's got kind of like a dark blue and white on it. And honestly, I'll have to check it out next time. I guess John could fill us in if we take a closer look. But, Milana is taking a big run on the outside there, but going into the chicane, he's not going to have the room to do it. It looks like we have slower traffic up ahead, so let's see if that pass can get made. But like I was just saying there, that take a closer look at John's car to see if it's just the club scheme or if it's actually the Coast to Coast Racing scheme on that car. He is running in second place right now in the Ford GTs. Not the Ford GTs, the Radicals. We go around Lance Snyder there, who's, like I say, down in 8th position right now in the LMPs, who's 1 lap behind John Kelly and 8 seconds ahead of Jerry Morrisdorf. So John Kelly's 7th position really not in danger, but Lance's 8th position potentially in danger from Jerry. And Demas using all the track and then some as these guys are coming around John Kelly right now. John very graciously letting them both by.
Also, Todd Carver has closed the gap up between himself and Daniel Gralti quite significantly. He's down to under 2 seconds, about 1.8 at the moment. So he's managed to close that gap up a little bit with only some tire smoke going on up there. Oh, and that's Benica again.
Sorry, I feel bad for Edward because he's got a damaged card there and he's still running in 4th position, so he does have a pretty good incentive to try to keep that car in the track there. But that's the 4th time that we've seen on camera that he's spun in front of a couple other cars battling. So just seems like there's 4 of them out there. He's just all over the place right now. There's John's car as we went past that. Didn't get a chance to see if that was painted or not.
Yeah, John cruising currently pretty much all by himself. He has 19 seconds between himself and Lauren Bateman for first place, and then 16 seconds between himself and Julio Palacio for third place. Oh, and Renee Weissflog way off the circuit into the hairpin there, turn 8, and really missed his braking point, I guess, right there. I know he was struggling with some damage, he told me after the race, and I'm guessing that's why that happened.
It was a pretty big off. He went pretty far off the track there. I see it looks like Dan Crony is coming through the Ford GT battle right now, but this Ford GT battle is under a second at the moment. Might be even a little closer once Dan Gralti goes through there.
Yeah, and only 5 minutes left on the clock, so guys that are battling are going to be really looking to find a way to get past for their respective positions, second or third, depending on which class battle you're looking at, but not a whole lot of time left to make those passes happen.
There we go. There's the battle for the lead of the 4 GTs. It's come right down to it. So the leaders in all the other classes are pretty well set. Andy Fuller in the LMPs and Lauren Bateman in the Radicals. But this battle definitely not decided yet as Todd Carver is trying to run down Dan Gralti.
It looks like he gets a very nice run out of the hairpin there. He's dropped the gap to about half a second. So Carver on a big push here in the final stages. Ooh, and Gralti has a lot of oversteer going through the final chicane there. Todd Carver not able to take advantage of that. But the gap is definitely gone now. So it's a all-out battle for first place in the 4 GTs here with just under 4 minutes left. And Todd Carver all over the rear of Gralti. And remember, both of these drivers pitted at the same time, so their tires and fuel should be, pretty much the same. It just depends on how the driver was managing tires, how hard they were pushing, things like that. How well they've managed those tires throughout their final stint. And they've been on these tires for quite a while now, so they're probably heated up a little bit. Yeah, it's quite close now.
Oh, Muniz goes around and Milana into the back of them. That's a battle for second, and that's Milana going there. Looks like Muniz got sideways going through turn 1 into those GTs, and Milana got into the back of him just a little bit to help spin him around, but it looked like Muniz was going around anyway, so that's unfortunate for Muniz. He was running up there in second position, but he's still well ahead of Troy Harder, and hopefully there's not too much damage there, and he's able to hold on to that. Unfortunately, that battle decided, but this battle is definitely not decided yet. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left. Todd Carver right under the tail of Dan Gralti. And we're coming right down to it. Probably another 2 laps left for these guys. I know we've said it before, but the laps are decided when Andy Fuller comes across the line for the final time. So you'll see it up there under where the timing is right now. That'll change to white when his last lap is, which means that the guys that you're watching right now will have the lap that they're on and another one to complete to finish their race.
And like we've said earlier in the race, very, very difficult to pass at this circuit. So it looks like Todd Carver is probably faster than Gralti right now. He's been on a big push right now to try and see if he can't find a way through. Oh, it looks like he's going to try to move around the outside. Gralti is going to give him room, a little bit of contact there as they go through the first chicane. I think they're still side by side. Can't tell from this camera angle. And Todd Carver makes the move going through the outside, takes advantage of Gralti's off position, see if he can battle back going through the second chicane. Not able to do so, and looks like Todd Carver is going to try and drive away with this one with just about a minute and a half left in the race.
That was a fantastic multi-class pass there. Ryan Huff was coming around to lap them. He went to the one side. Gralti stayed over to the left-hand side to let him through. Todd Carver had to let him through as well, but he was able to get over to the left-hand side quicker and was able to outbrake Gralti on the better side of the track, better line to the corner there, so he was able to go through there really aggressive and able to make the pass. That being said, there's still a lot of time left, and we haven't got the white flag yet, so these guys have at least another 2 laps left to battle, and Gralti is not giving up.
Gralti's going to take a little look on the inside, not close enough, and the final lap comes out. So these guys should probably have this lap and another because they already had just crossed the start-finish line, which is good for Galti. It's going to give him a little bit more time to see if he can't find a way back around Todd Carver for first place in the class. But I see that it looks like Eduardo Beninca is just in front, so hopefully he'll get out of the way for these two drivers and allow them to continue their battle. But Todd Carver pulling a bit of a gap now. He's got about half a second over Galti at the moment.
I don't know, Eduardo's staying ahead of them right now, so I hope he doesn't spin out right now. I think he's got this one hopefully under control here, but oh, there he goes. He's off. No spin that time. That's good. He's able to hold on. He'll probably take a swell to slow down just a little bit, but based on the speed he's going, and he's also about 30 seconds ahead of Stephen Clark in 5th position, so looks like he's got that as long as he stays on the track, and these guys can continue battling. This is great. Actually, we've got Andy Fuller in the HPD coming up behind them, but he should finish his race before he catches up to these guys.
And Daniel Galti's really closed the gap up a little bit there going into the second chicane, and Todd Carver able to open up a little bit more of a distance as they head through the last chicane into the timing line here, but it's still about half a second. These guys are very, very close. Andy Fuller is going to come across the line to finish first place in class. Oh, and it looks like they're scoring the GTs as well, so that must have been their final lap.
No, that he was they're ahead of Andy, so actually I'm not sure why it's doing that right now. Probably because it happened so close right there, but they definitely have another lap left. They're definitely still racing.
You sure? Tim Stoll just exited out.
Yeah.
They're done. They're done.
Well, that is strange.
I think with iRacing, when you get the white flag real close to when you cross the start finish like that, it does get a little bit wonky.
Yeah, it was very, very close, and it's quite possible that our graphic interface might have been just a touch off of when the white flag actually flew.
Tim Stoll was behind Andy Fuller when he crossed the line, so his race was done.
Actually, you know what? Also, people who are watching this are actually going to see it slightly differently because that white flag is going to come out 3 seconds earlier than it did for us, and that might just be enough to do the trick.
Okay.
All right, points. James Cullen now no longer has a perfect record because he's been forced to use his drop week on this race, meaning that second place finish he had at Sonoma is now damaging his perfect record. Anthony Muniz currently shown in second ahead of Brian Carey. Wow. And then I missed a bunch of people in the middle. Russell Cow with 147 points, also breaking his perfect record with Warren Bateman in second. John Cousin just behind him in third. Mike Kelly dropping back a little bit farther in fourth, but still within striking distance of either Cousin or Bateman. And then Carl Mumbauer is the last real running radical. In the Ford GT, Galti now showing, actually that is not perfect points, that is, it would be perfect points except he's down one race, 150 points would be perfect, so Todd Carver 2 points down, Corey Davis just 3 points down, so 1 point behind Todd Carver, big battle there for second, and Eduardo Beninca only 7 points down from the lead, so still,
Tim Stoll
first and fourth
as well, so
all have a chance.
All open.
Yeah, chance there in the top. And we now have Watkins Glen coming up tomorrow night, so you should be watching that race in about a week's time. And after that, Phillip Island, which we return to after a fairly long absence. That one promises to be about as challenging as this track was, followed by the season finale, our own sort of Sprint Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the GTC here, apparently this track caught on fire, so we're not going to be able to use this one again.
I like this track, man.
I like the track. Single class racing, I love the track there, but it's, at least from my point of view anyway, I saw there's very few accidents where I've got in where there's literally like, it seemed that nothing anyone could do just because of, you definitely run into space. We run on tracks like Virginia International Raceway, which is a very difficult track, but it's one of those tracks where as long as everyone's careful, because it's more of a driving difficult track that you get through, because if someone goes off, I mean, there's about 30 acres of land on the other side of you to get around. That's not so much the case here. So anyways, it was a good race. It was fun to watch. It was massively fun to watch. So from that point of view, I was excited. But from a purely driving point of view, very happy to see this race end at the moment.
Well, on behalf of my commentators here, thank you guys, Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz, as Todd fails to do a donut there, and the admins and racers of ISRA, making it all possible. And our sponsor, Z1 Simwheel, I want to thank you for watching. Have a good night.